What is going on, Alpha Hunters? Hope everybody had a fantastic new year. Welcome to 2024, or at least we'll welcome each other to 2024. So, hopefully, you did have a good one. Um, Nothing crazy, I guess, in the world happened over the weekend. Didn't live stream last week. It was kind of a dead week. Not really too much was going on during the week, anyways. It was kind of a mellow week. So nice gap down here on the SPY. We'll take a look at a few things as far as like Qs, futures, stuff like that. Gap down roughly 2/3% there on the SPY. Trade a little bit lower, just kind of bounce around. Nice little mid morning run. Then we basically got to the low of Friday for the high of today, a little bit over an hour and 15 minutes ago or so. It's kind of where we got to the low there on Friday. And then, yeah, just kind of been rolling down ever since. So we had a pretty good roll down there on Friday. It kind of got bought up as we went to the close. But yeah, we had a nice gap down here today. Kind of put out some videos over Friday, Saturday, sometime over the weekend, kind of talking about, obviously wrapping up, last week, what I kind of expect in 2024. So if you have seen some of that, maybe check out some of those videos, put them down in the comment area. That way, you can go check them out. But really, the 2024 is going to be an interesting one as we probably look at the consumer early in 2024, and that might have been a big factor of what's going on here with this gap down, because we started getting some data at the end of Q4, right, in November, December kind of time frame, as we got some information that student loan repayments had restarted in October, but we don't know how many people are paying them back until we've heard about that finally in November. And then we got some more information in December that even more people were kind of looking to cut back on investments to pay for student loans. So that's kind of one part of the outlook that I kind of talk about for my 2024 outlook. That'll probably look to be an issue in Q1, and it's something that nobody's really talked about. That's what, man, it is. That's what's so baffling to me. So, I mean, were people just out there trumpeting their bullish thesis because everybody's like, oh yeah, just stay bullish tech and all this other stuff, and it's like there's some real issues, especially as you start to look at the consumer, and if they're not going to be spending money, that was one area of strength that you were hearing last year from a lot of economists saying, well, the consumer hasn't died yet, and now to kind of put it, I guess, more medieval, right? But a lot of people were just super baffled about that all year last year. A lot of economists, but for whatever reason, now people seem to just disregard, I guess, those issues? Question mark. I don't get that myself. I don't know why people just disregard the consumer having any issues. But I think they could have some issues coming very soon, and that might be one reason why you're seeing a pretty good gap down on the markets to start the year. Because I think a lot of investors said, "Hey, we can wait until the beginning of 2024 to sell out of the market before we have probably much more headwinds, right?" Because if you are actually bullish on 2024, like a lot of people said they are, oh yeah, you know what, we're going to go to 5,000 or 500 on SPY, then why sell out on the first day of 2024 unless you're looking to lock in tax gains from this, the 2023's bullishness, especially the last 2 months of bullishness that we did have in 2023. So yeah, I mean, I would rather pay taxes on those gains next year, not in 4 months. So, so if you sold last week, you'd be paying taxes on that here in 4 months in April. If if you sell out today or anytime here in 2024, you pay taxes on it next year. So it's just an interesting thought I kind of had going into 2024. So I'm not shocked to see that we're down, right? I'm not shocked to see that we gap down. I very much did talk about that. But we'll see. And I guess the other part is if you really do think the consumer will be an issue, right? Well, then that means we have much farther downside probably to go, because you're probably paying 15% tax on whatever marginal gains you had. So you're probably thinking that we're probably going to come probably substantially lower. So I think we probably will see some pretty good lows, probably as we get into March, maybe into summer time frame. And yeah, after that, I think will probably be good, because I think most of any of the bad stuff will be out there and known. So let's run through the normal stuff. That's the SPY, kind of just high level stuff. All right, so taking a look here at the Qs. Look at the weakness here. Look at this gap down. This is a monster gap down. Gap down roughly 0.9%. Not quite, but man, I mean, look at the weakness. Look at that weakness there on the Qs. Down at the daily lows. Did not get nearly the rally that we had here on the SPY on the other parts of the market. It started out pretty strong and then just faded pretty heavily. Definitely bearishness early on as well. First hour and 15 minutes was pretty bearish there on the Qs. So yeah, seeing some pretty good bearishness there on the Qs. And that was kind of the other part there. The other video kind of got down below is there's too much optimism around AI. I don't really believe into it as much. That's the other video you'll probably see down in the comments if you're seeing the market, the real quick trading update for the day. All right, so we will probably at least be coming back down to probably like the lower 390s here on the Qs before we probably see any meaningful bounce or any kind of support levels. So yeah, I would just expect probably further bearishness throughout the month of January for now, especially with how bad that looks there on the Qs, right? That looks pretty brutal there. That's the largest weighting, like market cap wise, right? Market cap wise. So that looks pretty brutal. IWM, this is probably where I'd like to be allocated into. Very nice early on. It's been positive a couple times. Nice little bounce there on the open. Got positive there for maybe like 20 minutes or so. Came back down. Then nice little rally. Got positive for about an hour there, but it's been also obviously fading down here over the past hour and a half or so, along with the SPY and everything else. DIA, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, very nice. This thing's been doing really good. The Dow Jones, I'm not really too big on all that much, but nice gap down. But it got bought right up, got positive, been fading down here the past hour and a half, looking pretty good. It's been on a monster run. Geez, that's crazy. Yeah, it's just a monster run. I wouldn't want to be bullish here, but I definitely would see this doing pretty well throughout 2024, just for how bullish this past 2 months was. This is really strong. RSP, take a look at it. RSP also kind of looks like the IWM. Nice gap down, traded higher. Got positive there for a good bit in the middle part of the day. Has been fading back down over the past hour and a half. Not nearly as much of a fade down here. I'm going to guess the heat map is very much heavily red on big tech. Whoa, look at that. Huge red there. My gosh. A lot of manufacturing red here as well. There's green, energies, healthcare, utilities, communications, non-big tech. It's like the communication you'd really think of: AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Staples. Oh, man, look at tech. Everybody's locking in profits. Everybody's locking in profits on tech. Look at that. Man, everybody's paying taxes next year on tech. All right, got it. I mean, jeez. Crazy. Okay, VIX. Nice gap up today on the VIX. You can see it here. Intraday is kind of fading down. I don't know why it has a lower open here on the daily, but the intraday has a higher open. Yeah, we started noticing some issues here on the VIX here in mid-December. The VIX stopped falling, and the market, the SP 500, kept rising, and that was kind of bringing some concerns because people were getting protective, right? You were seeing people get protective here on the VIX, but you weren't seeing the bearishness on the market. So VIX kind of a little bit front leading here. That typically doesn't happen all that much, but it's happening this time. Okay. DXY, check out the move on dollar. Kind of talked about this last week, or at least in market outlook video. Got a pretty good overextension to that bearish direction. Came down to a very solid support level. Tried to break down. Already hugely extended. Kind of talked about look for a pretty good move there back to the 20. Didn't realize it would happen all in one day, but that's there you go. Pretty much moved all the way back to that 20 EMA. GLD gold ETF. With how much, and this is one of the things that I was kind of talking about in the outlook for 2024, bullish on gold, possibly silver, but we just saw the dollar. Dollar's up very strong, and gold is basically flat. Look at that; it's not even budging. It's not even down a lot. It's just hanging out. Gold is going to be really good in 2024. You're going to want to be good. All right, so that's GLD. Take a look at the 10-year yield. 10-year yield. Very nice, strong move up today. Also kind of talked about this moving up to the 20 EMA. With how strong the dollar and 10-year yield kind of moved very aggressively today to the 20 EMA, I could see this probably settle out here for a couple days and then make a higher push. Maybe another day or two, just kind of move sideways and then make a higher push. Maybe start to move back up to that 50 EMA. And then we got, all right, the 10 and 2 inversion. Yeah, we're seeing the nice move higher here on the 10-2 inversion. Popped this top here back from the beginning of December. Didn't hold it. Check and see what the 2-year is doing then. So 2 years bounced pretty good. Well, it didn't bounce as hard as the 10-year, but it did bounce pretty good. Okay. HYG dropping off. Bonds are up. Yields are up. Bonds are down. The inverse makes sense. LQD, kind of talked about these being false breakouts over the past 2 weeks on these bond prices. So here's the TLT. Also kind of looks like a bond price false breakout. Getting below the 10 EMA, which it had been riding up pretty good over the past 2 months. So next, it looks like probably at least coming down to the 20 EMA here probably pretty soon. Take a look at sector rotation. Okay. So we got a pretty good gap today. We'll see what's going on here. Oh, look at that move, man. So XLK, yeah, you can definitely see tech underperforming pretty good, down 2.8% to start the year. Oh yeah, that's going to be really good for 2024. Tech massively underperforming. XLY underperforming, XLC underperforming, the other two big tech sectors, just from their weighting. Industrials, we also saw some red in industrial areas, so yeah, makes sense. Outperformers, everything else is outperforming. Materials outperforming. Financials outperforming, actually positive. Everything else is going to be positive as well on the day. Real estate, staples, utilities, energies, and healthcare outperforming. Interesting. Okay, so let's take out the gap. And you still see tech is just continue to get hammered throughout the day. Just underperforming. Man. So they had a pretty good gap down, and they've continued to sell down throughout the day. Discretionaries underperforming, industrials, communications, all underperforming. So yeah, those sectors not only just gapped down, but they also sold down pretty good too. Materials outperforming, financials, energies. There are energy and financials there. Real estate also performing pretty good. Staples, healthcare, and utilities. Look at that. Safe haven assets doing pretty good intraday. Safe haven sectors. Safe haven sectors. Utilities, healthcare, and staples. I would also say the other area is doing really good is gold. Gold is doing really good even though the price is basically flat. But with how much the dollar and even yields is up, gold's flat. Oh yeah. Gold's doing good today. Gold is doing good.